It's just a weapon.
Hey guys, what's happening? Niyat here with Film Comics Explained, and today we'll be taking a look at SCP-106, also known as the Old Man, as featured in the SCP Foundation archives. I've been getting so many requests to start an SCP series, and thought that we could test the waters with this one, and depending on how you guys receive it, I intend on going through the lore of the fictional organization, and some of the things featured in the video game, SCP Containment Breach. Okay, so for those of you who know nothing about SCP, the Foundation is in essence a fictional organization entrusted by governments around the world, responsible for locating and containing individuals, entities, locations, and objects that appear to violate natural laws, or are all referred to as SCPs. The Foundation has also inspired numerous spin-offs, including the video game SCP Containment Breach, which I believe is still available for free on Steam if you guys are interested. With that in mind, SCP-106, also known as Corporal Lawrence and the Old Man, was a Keter-classed humanoid contained by the SCP Foundation, known for its embodiment of death and decay. As its name would suggest, SCP-106 took the appearance of an extremely old withered man with a bald head, sunken black eyes, and a lipless skull-like grin. His wrinkled flesh was dark with necrosis and constantly oozed a corrosive black mucus that was capable of breaking down all solid material, which it used both as a weapon and as a tool for escape. It's believed that SCP-106 had previously taken the form of a man known as Corporal Lawrence, who had served in World War I, where it appeared as a normal man of average height and build that fought alongside his comrades and followed orders down to a T. At the same time, his seemingly odd behavior led many members of his unit to begin feeling increasingly uncomfortable around him. Lawrence tended to stare a beat or two longer than what was acceptable to people. He barely slept at all, and bunkmates often heard him mumbling in his dreams constantly. He would also disappear for hours on end and reappear right before battle, and though most people thought he was walking to clear his head, it's more likely that the entity was actually entering and exiting its pocket dimension, something that we'll get into later in this video. Now, Lawrence and a unit of soldiers were eventually sent over the trenches into no man's land, never to be seen or heard from again. But once the rest of the troops started talking about him, they all began to realize that nobody actually knew where he was from. He was initially believed to have come in with a squad of reinforcements transferred from France. However, there was no paperwork listing his name, and the squad that he'd arrived with later admitted that they had never seen the man until the night before their transfer. Every man that had shared a bunkhouse with him also suffered from trench foot, which was a painful condition marked by the blackening and death of surface tissue. Early indications that Lawrence was either diseased, cursed, or not of this world. In reality, I think that as the embodiment of death and decay, SCP-106 was attracted to the trenches as there were millions of corpses for it to play with, and when it disappeared, it was likely taking soldiers from both sides and trapping them in its pocket dimension. In the game, SCP-106 is the second SCP that the player would see, and early on, 106 could be heard laughing in the background when the player entered SCP-173's room. You could also hear him on the lower floor near a massive black liquid, where furniture would start disappearing into its pocket dimension. Now, 106 was not exceptionally agile and would often remain motionless upside down for most of the time, though it had the ability to scale vertical structures and spawn near the players at any time. The entity preferred to hunt people between the ages of 12 to 25, and once it had caught its victims, it would injure its prey before pushing them inside of its pocket dimension. SCP-106 had no need to eat or sleep, and as mentioned earlier, it would often remain motionless for days on end until it sensed its next victim. Once it found its prey, 106 would begin to stalk them relentlessly. Hiding from 106 was useless, as not only could it sense nearby humans, but it could also phase through solid matter via its corrosive mucus, leaving behind a blackened silhouette in its wake. Once its prey was cornered, 106 would incapacitate them, usually by breaking bones, puncturing organs, or severing tendons, before pulling them back into its pocket dimension via the dark patches it left behind on the walls, where it would torment its prisoners before finally killing them. What 106's pocket dimension looks like is largely unknown, as the few victims who were released from 106's dimension didn't live long enough to talk, and while recording devices often made the journey to and from the dimension, the captured footage was always heavily distorted. The only thing known for certain is that SCP-106 has total control within its dimension, able to warp space, time, and perception at will, including how SCP-106 appeared to its victims, and as a result, 106 is the only one who could freely enter and exit this dimension. While it was eventually captured by the Foundation and stored within a unique cell, there was one containment breach that led a member of the MTF team to willingly sacrifice themselves to recontain SCP-106. Here is a sample of audio gathered after the unnamed agent had his femur broken prior to the shutdown of the facility and the eventual containment of the entity. Well, that's all for today, folks. Thanks to all of you guys who requested we take a look at SCP-106. Don't forget to hit subscribe and click the notification icon to stay up to date on all my content. And if there's anything else you'd like to request, please don't hesitate to ask. As always, it's been a pleasure. Niyat here with Film Comics Explained. Thanks for stopping by.